Hi, I'm Mr. eTutor, your mystery tutor here at mysterytutor.com, and welcome to video module 6-11. In this module, we'll talk about things we can learn from the answer choices in authentic SAT math questions. By the way, before we even begin the discussion, remember, the things that we're discussing only appear in real, authentic SAT questions written by the actual College Board. The people who work at other companies may not be aware of the standards and things that we're discussing here, and that's why the tests that they create don't reflect those standards. If you want to make sure that you're practicing as best as you possibly can, only use real SAT questions. The only way to be sure you're understanding everything going on in the test is to work with the real test. Now, let's get back to the things that answer choices can teach us about a math question. Too many students try to answer SAT math questions in a completely incorrect way. Most of them only read the question, stop at the end of the question, and try to solve the problem. After they've solved the problem, they try to find the answer that they've come up with in the answer choices. This is extremely frustrating, and in order to get this to work, you actually have to know math. Generally speaking, I try to avoid any sort of approach to the math question that relies on knowing too much math. Instead, a much smarter way to approach the questions is to read the entire question and all of the answer choices as one unit, in just the same way that you would approach a sentence completion question or a reading comprehension question or a writing multiple choice question. In each of those cases, it would be foolish to read only the question prompt and not the answer choices before you tried to pick an answer choice, and math is no different. Remember, on multiple choice tests, the key skill is the ability to separate correct answers from incorrect answers, not the ability to know the answer to the question being asked. Now, generally speaking, whenever we look at the answer choices to an SAT math question, we want to be able to figure out why those answer choices are there. The answer choices can tell us an awful lot about the right way to approach the question. For example, turn to page 408 in your copy of the official SAT study guide written by the College Board. On page 408, you'll find question 5. Question 5 asks for the probability of a particular outcome when a spinner with 6 sections is spun 2 times consecutively. Now, many students hear the word probability and get very, very worried. They know that it involves fractions, but they're not exactly sure of much beyond that. By the way, if that describes you, make sure you've put your name in the email box to the right-hand side of the screen to receive our free guide to all of the basic concepts on SAT math sections. The average student stops reading the question before finishing all the answer choices, and never notices that every single answer choice to this question is a fraction with a denominator of 36. However, if we're smart and read all the answer choices and notice that every single answer choice is a fraction with a denominator 36, we can begin to ask ourselves, well, why is the denominator 36? This may begin to jog your memory about the proper way to solve this probability question. You'll see clues in answer choices like this all over the test. Whenever you're having a difficult time solving a problem, remember, the SAT does not actually require you to solve problems when it comes to multiple choice math questions. Instead, all you have to be able to do is to identify the correct solution to the problem when it's already provided to you. Answer choices can also tell us a lot about the way that a question might go wrong, and understanding the way a question might go wrong will help us keep from making mistakes. For an example of another way we can use answer choices on a math section, take a look at question 4 on the same page. You may remember question 4 from module 6-8, in which we discussed the proper way to use diagrams. By the way, if you haven't watched that module, make sure you watch it right after this one. We've already seen that the correct answer to question 4 is choice A, 16 pi. But let's take a look at the other choices and see if we can figure out why they're included by the College Board. Choice B, 20 pi, gives us something similar to the sum of 8 and 12, the dimensions of rectangle ABCD. Choice C, 36 pi, is the result we would obtain if we mislabeled ABCD, so that side AB became 12 units long and side BC became 8 units long. If we label AB as 12 units, then we mistakenly believe the diameter of the circle is 12 units as well, which makes the radius of the circle 6 units, which makes the area of the circle 36 pi. Choice D, 64 pi, is the mistaken result we would obtain if we forgot to find the radius of the circle and instead squared the diameter. Finally, choice E, 96 pi, is the area of the rectangle, not the circle, times pi. So, as you can see, every single incorrect answer choice to question number 4 comes from a simple mistake that an average student might be expected to make on a bad day. Every SAT math question is similar. You have to remember when you take the test that every answer choice is placed there for a reason. If you want a quick way to double check your work or make sure you're on the right path, try and explain to yourself all of the mistakes you'd have to make to generate the various incorrect answer choices. The more of the answer choices you can explain to yourself, the more certain you are that you've solved the question correctly. So remember, answer choices can tell us a whole lot about the question. In fact, they're half the question in themselves. Don't ignore the answer choices. Focus on the answer choices when you try to plan the best way to attack a question. There's a lot more, so keep watching, and remember, it's easier than you think.